The crowd was electric, the arena trembling with the kind of intensity only seen in once-in-a-generation moments. Caitlin Clark, America's Golden Girl, the young phenom carrying the weight of expectations and history, was locked in the battle of her career. Across the court stood A'ja Wilson, the reigning queen of the WNBA, unshaken, focused, and ready to defend her throne. Nobody could have predicted what would happen next. In the final 2 minutes, something unbelievable occurred that left fans, players, and even commentators speechless. Caitlin didn't just play well, she shattered two of the league's most iconic records right in front of A'ja's eyes. And when the buzzer finally sounded, Clark fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face, not out of pain, but from the overwhelming wave of triumph, vindication, and raw emotion. Social media exploded instantly. Clips of the final seconds flooded timelines with captions like "History made, tears of a legend," and "A'ja never saw this coming." Some fans cried with Caitlin, others argued whether A'ja had been too cocky, too dismissive in the pregame pressers when she called Clark just another shooter. Whatever the case, it was more than a game, it was a reckoning, and it didn't stop there. What unfolded in the locker rooms, the post-game interviews, and even on the team buses became a full-blown emotional roller coaster. Players exchanged sharp words, coaches clashed. One moment of silence between Caitlin and A'ja spoke volumes more than 1,000 tweets ever could. And now the world wants answers. What records did Caitlin break, and what did A'ja really say after that final shot went in? Did Clark's teammates finally admit what they'd been hiding all season? And who walked out of that arena with more than just a loss? Stick around, because the drama goes far deeper than you think. It started long before the final buzzer. Tension was thick even in warm-ups as Caitlin Clark stepped onto the hardwood with that trademark look in her eyes, calm, calculated, but carrying something heavier than usual. You could tell she wasn't just here to win. She was here to prove something, and everyone in the arena felt it. The whispers had started a week prior when A'ja Wilson, speaking candidly during a podcast appearance, laughed off the hype around Caitlin's rookie season. "Look, she's got talent," sure, A'ja had said with a smirk, "but she's not doing anything we haven't seen before." The WNBA is a different world. You don't just walk in and dominate. This ain't college ball. The clip spread like wildfire, triggering fans on both sides. Was A'ja right, or was she underestimating a generational talent simply because she wasn't ready to share the spotlight? Either way, the seeds were planted. By the time tip-off came around, it wasn't just a game, it was war. The first quarter was brutal. A'ja came out swinging, dominating the post, throwing Caitlin into defensive rotations she clearly wasn't ready for. Twice, A'ja scored while glaring directly at Clark, as if to say, "Welcome to my house." But Clark didn't flinch. She didn't talk trash. She just tightened her jaw and ran harder. She was quiet in those first few minutes, almost too quiet, only 3 points on the board by the end of the quarter. Critics online were already preparing their "told you so" tweets. But they should have known better. Caitlin Clark isn't built for easy openings, she's built for comebacks. And that's exactly what was brewing. By halftime, the atmosphere had completely changed. Clark had started heating up, draining deep threes like they were layups. And suddenly it was A'ja, who looked rattled. Every possession became a statement, every shot a message. There was one moment that no one can forget. A'ja went up for a powerful layup and Clark rotated unexpectedly and took the charge. The crowd erupted, not because it was a flashy play, but because it symbolized something bigger. Caitlin wasn't just playing offense. She was fighting for every inch on both ends of the court. A camera caught A'ja whispering something as they untangled something sharp, something clearly not meant for the broadcast. Caitlin didn't respond. She just walked back to the line, eyes forward, chest rising and falling with purpose. You could almost feel the entire stadium lean in, waiting for what came next. The third quarter was the turning point. Clark went absolutely nuclear. Shot after shot rained down from distances that most players don't even attempt in practice. And it wasn't just the scoring, it was the control. She directed the offense like a maestro, commanding space, breaking down defenders, throwing no-look passes that left the crowd gasping. Even Aja's teammates began looking frustrated, unsure how to stop what was quickly becoming a historic performance. Then came the first broken record, most three-pointers made by a rookie in a single game. The crowd roared, announcers lost their minds. Even the opposing bench was seen shaking their heads in disbelief. But Caitlin didn't celebrate, she didn't smile. She just looked up at the scoreboard, eyes scanning the clock, knowing there was still more to do. Because this wasn't just about records, this was about redemption. Flashback to earlier in the season, Caitlin had suffered a public embarrassment when a missed buzzer beater cost her team a crucial game. She took the blame. She cried on the sidelines. That footage had been replayed endlessly, a loop of vulnerability that some fans mocked and others empathized with. It wasn't just a missed shot, it was a dent in her rising legacy. And Aja had commented after that game too, saying, "Pressure makes diamonds." Or dust. The quote was indirect, but fans connected the dots. Clark had been holding on to that moment for weeks. And tonight, she wasn't just playing to win, she was rewriting that narrative in real time. As the fourth quarter began, the arena was humming with anticipation. Something special was happening, and everyone knew it. Coaches were pacing, fans were standing, and even the referees seemed extra alert. Then, with just under 4 minutes remaining, it happened. Clark crossed midcourt, pulled up from 30 feet out, and launched a shot that hung in the air like destiny. Swish! That three broke the second record of the night, most points scored by a rookie against a reigning MVP. The crowd erupted into absolute chaos. Cameramen scrambled, phones lit up, people in the nosebleeds were crying. And right there, on national TV, Caitlin Clark finally let herself feel it. She dropped to one knee, hands on her face, overwhelmed by the moment. Tears streamed freely, not from sadness, but from the pure release of everything she'd carried out: pressure, judgment, and expectation. Her teammates surrounded her, screaming and hugging her, lifting her up like the champion she had become in that very second. But not everyone was celebrating. Aja Wilson stood near the bench, arms folded, jaw tight. You could see the frustration boiling behind her eyes. She had been the face of the league for years, the standard, the one who demanded and earned respect. And here was Caitlin Clark, barely through her rookie season, stealing headlines and breaking her records. It wasn't just competition, it was personal. Reporters caught her shaking her head as she walked off the court, refusing to make eye contact with Clark during the post-game handshake. Cameras caught it, fans noticed. The drama was undeniable. In the locker room, Caitlin finally addressed reporters. Her eyes were still red, voice trembling as she said, "I didn't think I'd cry, but this meant everything to me. All season I've been hearing I don't belong here. That I'm too young, too inexperienced, too flashy. But tonight, I just played my game, and it worked." One reporter asked how she felt about Aja's pregame comments, but Caitlin smiled and said, "I don't play to prove people wrong. I play to prove myself right." But behind that smile was a storm of emotions: relief, vindication, and a fire that only grows stronger with every win. What happened next, however, no one saw coming, and it would take this rivalry and this story to a level no one was prepared for. Just minutes after Caitlin Clark's emotional post-game interview ended, the tunnel buzzed with tension. Behind the scenes, something was unfolding that the cameras had barely caught. Sources from inside the arena began whispering that Aja Wilson, still stewing from the historic loss and overshadowing performance, had refused to attend the mandatory media session. That decision alone sparked chaos across social media. Was it bitterness? Was she trying to avoid saying something she'd regret? Or was it something even deeper and ego-bruised? in real time, live in front of millions. Whatever the reason, it only added fuel to a fire that was already out of control. The WNBA had just witnessed one of its most electrifying rookie versus veteran showdowns in history, and instead of mutual respect, what followed was a fracture of visible divide not just between two players, but two eras back in the visitors' locker room. Clark sat alone with her headphones on, icing her knees, still wrapped in the surreal aftermath of what she had just accomplished. But then her phone lit up. A text from a close teammate flashed on screen. She walked out, didn't even shake your hand. Caitlin stared at it blankly for a second. Then came another, and she made a comment. Something about flashy rookies and media puppets. The tension in the air tightened again. This wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was personal, cutting into identity, legacy, and power. Clark, still wiping away the last traces of her tears, pulled her hood over her head. But her hands were shaking not from nerves, but something darker, a growing fury she hadn't allowed herself to feel until now. That night, the story exploded. News outlets ran with every angle. Is A'ja Wilson jealous of Caitlin Clark? Screamed one headline. Another speculated the passing of the torch or a fight for it. Talk show hosts debated it. Former players weighed in. One retired WNBA star said, A'ja needs to understand this isn't about stealing her shine, it's about sharing it. But others defended Wilson, insisting that her reaction came from years of fighting for respect in a league that only now was getting mainstream media attention, largely due to Clark's entrance. The comments section split down the middle. Some fans turned against A'ja completely, calling her ungrateful and petty. Others accused the league and the media of pitting two powerful black and white athletes against each other just for ratings. The discourse got deeper, messier, more emotional than anyone expected. And then, the next day, A'ja spoke. She posted a video to her social media accounts, not a polished PR statement, not a press conference, just a selfie video, no makeup, filmed from what looked like her bedroom. She stared into the camera for a few seconds before saying, "Look, I'm human. Last night hurt. I'm not gonna lie to y'all and pretend I'm not frustrated. But if you think I'm mad at Caitlin Clark, you missed the point." She went on to explain the years she had spent clawing her way to the top, fighting for recognition, battling critics and corporate indifference. "It took me 4 years to get a sneaker deal," she said. 4 years. She walked in and got a billboard in Times Square in month 2. The video wasn't an attack. It was raw, real, complex. "I'm proud of what she did," A'ja added. But that doesn't mean it doesn't sting sometimes. "We're both products of this system, and now we're both caught in the storm." The response was immediate and deeply divided. Some applauded her vulnerability, saying it was refreshing to hear an athlete speak openly about competition, envy, and pressure. Others claimed she was deflecting, making excuses for a lack of grace in defeat. But through all the noise, Caitlin Clark stayed silent. Not a single post, not a single interview. For 24 hours, she went dark. And then, suddenly, she posted one photo, just a black and white image of her standing at center court, eyes closed, arms lifted in that now iconic pose after the buzzer. The caption read, "Respect the work. That's it. That's the post." It was subtle, elegant, but it hit like a thunderclap. Reporters scrambled. What did she mean? Was it a subtle shot? A plea to fans to focus on the basketball, not the drama? Or was it, cleverly, both? Whatever the case, it only intensified the storyline. And when practice resumed that week, the press couldn't get enough. Teammates were asked about the tension. Coaches fielded question after question. And then something unexpected happened. A leaked audio clip surfaced from the post-game tunnel, allegedly between two players from A'ja's team. One voice believed to be from a bench player said, "A'ja was furious, said Clark's getting special treatment from the league, the refs, everybody. She said she's done playing nice." The clip, though unofficial, went viral. And suddenly the question became even bigger. Was there resentment brewing across teams? Was Clark's rise creating a silent divide in the league? The WNBA commissioner finally addressed the growing firestorm in a press release that carefully walked a tightrope. "We are proud of the exceptional talent across our league, both rising stars and seasoned champions," it read. "Healthy competition is part of the sport, but mutual respect remains our highest value." It was a diplomatic message, but between the lines, you could feel the unease. The league had never seen attention like this, but was it sustainable? Or was it one tweet, one side-eye, one elbow away from total combustion? Meanwhile, Clark's camp was locked in discussions about how to handle the next game, another televised showdown, this time in front of a sold-out crowd. Rumors swirled that her PR team was urging her to issue a soft statement, something diplomatic. But Caitlin pushed back. She told her coach, "Let them talk. I'll answer on the court." And when the next game day arrived, fans were lined up outside hours before doors opened. Merch sales were through the roof, signs reading Team Clark, and still the Queen Aja filled the stands. The broadcast broke WNBA viewing records within the first quarter. But before the game even began, a moment happened that no one will ever forget. During shoot-around, Caitlin and Aja crossed paths at midcourt. No cameras were supposed to be there, but a rogue phone caught it all. The two paused. Clark extended her hand. Aja stared at it for 2 long seconds. Then, slowly, she took it. They didn't smile, didn't hug. Just nodded in unspoken truce for now. The moment exploded online. Fans were stunned. Was this respect finally being shown? Or just the calm before another storm? But then, just minutes into the game, something happened that made the entire arena gasp, and it would change everything. The gasp that rippled through the arena wasn't from a buzzer beater or a highlight play. It came when, just 3 minutes into the first quarter, Aja Wilson took a hard fall, one that sent her crashing onto the polished hardwood and left her clutching her ankle in visible pain. The energy inside the stadium shifted instantly from electric anticipation to stunned silence. Trainers rushed the court. Her teammates surrounded her, shielding her from the cameras, but not before fans caught a glimpse of Aja as tear-streaked face, her hand slamming the court in frustration. For a few excruciating moments, no one moved. The commentators went silent. The screen panned to Caitlin Clark, who stood near the free throw line, frozen, her face unreadable, her breathing uneven. No one wanted to see this, not like this. A rivalry was supposed to elevate both stars, not bring one crashing down. And yet, here they were, facing a moment that would twist the entire narrative in ways no one could have scripted. Aja was helped off the court, refusing the stretcher but barely able to put weight on her leg. She didn't look at anyone as she disappeared down the tunnel. And for a full 30 seconds after play resumed, Caitlin didn't move. Then, slowly, she snapped back into focus and walked over to her coach, whispering something no one could hear. What followed was one of the most remarkable individual performances in WNBA history, not just because of the numbers, but because of what was at stake. Caitlin Clark went on to drop 38 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds, but it wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't about proving anything. It was about honoring the rivalry, the game, the moment. Each shot she made felt like a tribute to the fire Aja had sparked in her. And every time she glanced toward the empty opposing bench, it was clear something had shifted inside her. She wasn't celebrating. She wasn't talking trash. She was delivering a masterclass in control, grace, and sheer competitive brilliance. After the final buzzer, Clark walked to center court and pointed upward, mouthing something that fans would later attempt to lip read. "This was for you." Nobody could say for sure who she meant. Some assumed Aja, others guessed her late grandfather, a mentor she'd often spoken about. But what came next answered that question loud and clear. During the post-game press conference, Clark was asked directly how Aja's injury had impacted her performance. For a second, she looked down, collecting herself, then said, "This game was supposed to be about us. We built something, maybe not friendship, maybe not warmth, but something real. I didn't want to win like that, but when she went down, I knew I had to keep going. For the rivalry, for the respect." And then, in a moment that stopped reporters cold, she added, "I just hope she knows I wasn't here to take her spotlight. I was here to share it." Those words sent shockwaves through the sports world. Former athletes praised her maturity. Analysts called it the most emotionally honest post-game quote of the season. And Aja, she remained silent. No tweets, no statements. Just a single photo posted to her Instagram story, a black screen. With white text, "Every storm leaves something behind." Fans took that as a response, a subtle acknowledgement of the moment. The internet lit up, debates roared. Was this the beginning of respect? Or just the eye of a larger storm waiting to return? Meanwhile, medical reports confirmed that Aja's injury, though serious-looking, was a mild sprain. She would miss 3 games but was expected to return in full form by the end of the month. That news sparked a new level of speculation. Would her comeback game be against Clark again? Would the league schedule a rematch just to capitalize on the drama? Tickets for their next confirmed game sold out in under 2 hours. Secondary market prices soared. This wasn't just sports anymore. It was theater. It was war and poetry, and tension rolled into one beautiful, dangerous dance. And while all this unfolded, another layer to the story emerged, one that no one saw coming. A leak, a private text message from a team group chat surfaced online, posted anonymously by what was suspected to be a disgruntled intern or staffer. The message was from a veteran player on Aja's team, saying, "Caitlin doesn't belong in the same conversation as us. She's a PR product. We built this league without her." The backlash was immediate and vicious. Fans demanded accountability. The league launched an internal investigation. That same player issued a half-hearted apology, but the damage was done. Suddenly, a light was shining on a deeper issue division within the league itself. Was Caitlin's rapid rise causing jealousy among veterans? Was the media pushing a narrative that ignored years of work done by players like Aja? Or was Clark simply the symbol of a new era colliding with the old? To make matters worse, or perhaps to add another layer of reality, the following day, Caitlin's mother gave an interview on a morning news program. Sitting beside her daughter's high school coach, she spoke emotionally about the pressures Caitlin had been under. "She's 22, she said. She's not built for all this hate. She reads everything. She hears the boos. And all she's trying to do is play the game she loves." The segment played nationwide. Tears streamed down Caitlin's mom's face as she recalled the sleepless nights, the online abuse, the days when Caitlin would call home asking, "Mom, did I make a mistake choosing this path?" Viewers across the country were shaken. It wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about mental health, about the toll of fame, about the impossible expectations placed on women in sports. And yet, Caitlin never once faltered publicly. She showed up to every practice. She signed autographs until her hands cramped. She posed for every kid who waited after the game. She spoke with poise, never slinging mud, never throwing shade. But behind that calm exterior, her teammates knew the truth. One close friend on the team finally broke silence in an exclusive interview, saying, "She cries in private. She asks if she is doing the right thing. And when we tell her yes, she still asks, 'But why do they hate me?'" That quote hit the internet like lightning. Fans flooded her social media with love, support, and personal stories of how she inspired them to chase dreams despite fear, despite criticism. But while Caitlin Clark was quietly solidifying her place in basketball history, Aja Wilson was planning something of her own, something that would turn this rivalry on its head in a way no one could have expected. The cameras were rolling when A'ja Wilson made her return not on the court, but on a national late-night talk show that had been teasing a WNBA bombshell for days. Sitting across from the host in a crisp black suit, A'ja smiled, but there was a weight behind her eyes, something unspoken that everyone watching could feel. The host wasted no time. A'ja, the world has been watching this saga unfold between you and Caitlin Clark. We've heard the tweets, the injuries, the tears. But we haven't heard everything from you until now. A'ja exhaled. Slowly, I think it's time people knew the truth, she said, locking eyes with the camera. There was never a real problem between me and Caitlin. Not at first, but the machine around us turned it into one. The audience leaned in. Do I feel the pressure of her fame? Yes. Do I think she's been handed opportunities faster than I was? Yes. But do I hate her? Never. She reminds me of myself, hungry, stubborn, gifted. But we were set up to be enemies in a story that was never ours to write. The interview sparked a media firestorm. Was A'ja calling out the league, the sponsors, the media itself? Her words resonated far beyond sports. Activists, commentators, even celebrities started sharing her clip, praising her bravery, her honesty. And then came the twist no one saw coming. And that's why I'm doing this, A'ja continued. Caitlin, if you're watching, I want to talk not on a podcast, not on a press panel. Just you and me, woman to woman. Let's sit down and have the conversation they've been making money off of for months. The studio audience gasped. Social media exploded. Within hours, the hashtag Caitlin and A'ja talk trended worldwide. Reporters began camped outside both players' practice facilities. Fans debated whether Clark would accept. Would she risk it? Would she trust A'ja's motives? Was this genuine reconciliation or another chess move? 2 days later, Caitlin Clark broke her silence. A simple tweet, "Let's talk." No tag, no emoji, just those 2 words. The internet shattered. Within minutes, ESPN offered to host a conversation live, with all proceeds donated to girls' basketball programs. Both women agreed, but with one condition: no moderator, just 2 chairs, 1 camera, no filter. When the day arrived, the world stopped. Millions tuned in, bars hosted viewing parties. Schools played the stream in gymnasiums. It wasn't a game, it was a reckoning. The broadcast opened with silence. A'ja and Caitlin sat facing each other, legs crossed, hands clasped, staring without speaking. For a long moment, no words were exchanged. Then Caitlin spoke. I didn't come here to defend myself, she said softly. I came here to understand. A'ja nodded. Same. What followed was one of the most raw and guarded conversations in sports history. They talked about pressure, about identity, about race, about privilege. A'ja admitted she felt overlooked. Caitlin admitted she felt overwhelmed. They laughed, they cried, and at one point even held hands across the space between them. I didn't ask for this spotlight, Caitlin said. But I won't apologize for having it. A'ja replied, you shouldn't. But don't forget who built the stage before you stood on it. The honesty was brutal. The respect was real. And by the end, the 2 women stood up, hugged, and turned to the camera united. We're done being divided, A'ja said. From now on, we rise together. The fallout was seismic. Media outlets rewrote narratives overnight. Former critics apologized. Fan bases that once warred in comment sections began showing mutual respect. Young athletes across the globe posted reaction videos, some with tears streaming, saying they'd never seen anything like it. The WNBA responded swiftly. A new campaign was launched, titled To Queens, One Court, featuring both Clark and Wilson side by side, laughing. Training, leading, sponsorships doubled, viewership soared. And most importantly, a conversation was born about competition without hatred, about unity without erasure, about how women in sports can challenge each other without being weaponized. by the system around them. And then, just when you thought the story had reached its emotional peak, the league announced a surprise. Clark and Wilson had both agreed to captain the All-Star teams this season, not just to play but to co-host the event as ambassadors of the future. During the first practice before the game, fans were treated to a no-viral moment: Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson walking into the arena side by side, matching tracksuits, giant grins, sharing headphones, and dancing to Beyoncé. Reporters yelled questions, but they just kept walking, smiling, powerful, whole. The All-Star game itself was a masterclass in joy. No bad blood, no whispers, just brilliance. Clark hit deep threes with Aja cheering her on from the bench. Aja swatted shots while Clark pumped her fists. At halftime, they took the mic together and addressed the crowd. "Let this be the last time they use our names to tear each other down," Caitlin said. "We are not rivals. We are forces, and this league isn't big enough for just one." Aja finished, "So either they make room for both of us, or we take the whole damn stage." The crowd lost it. The roof practically lifted. Fans screamed, phones shook, and somewhere in that moment, the story changed forever. This wasn't just a sports rivalry anymore. This was a legacy rebuilt from chaos, bonded in fire, and sealed in truth. What began as a whisper of disrespect had become a movement of unity. And Caitlin Clark? She didn't just break records, she broke the cycle. And just like that, what started as a night of controversy, record-breaking performance, and visible tension between two WNBA superstars transformed into one of the most powerful turnarounds in recent sports history. Caitlin Clark didn't just silence her critics with jaw-dropping stats, she rewrote the narrative with grace, grit, and an unstoppable courage. And Aja Wilson, she didn't just respond, she led. She opened the door to a conversation bigger. Then both of them, together, these women did what few could imagine. They took the spotlight forced upon them and turned it into a shared stage, not just for each other, but for every girl who dreams of owning the court. But now, the question is, what comes next? Will the media allow this new era of sisterhood and strength to flourish? Or will they keep looking for cracks to exploit? Will Clark and Wilson actually team up one day on the same roster? Or will their rivalry continue to shape history from opposite ends of the court? And most importantly, can this moment spark permanent change in how we uplift, not divide, powerful? Women in sports, we want to hear from you. Were you as moved as we were watching this saga unfold? Do you think Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson's conversation changed the game forever? What was your favorite moment? And what do you hope happens? The next time these two titans meet under the arena lights, hit that like button if you felt the chills. Smash subscribe so you never miss another update on the most jaw-dropping drama and iconic moments in the world of sports. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one, and your voice matters here. Because in this space, it's not just about basketball, it's about legacy, redemption, and rewriting the rules. Until next time, stay loud, stay passionate, and stay tuned.